Welcome back for our next session. And we have a new visitor with us, and we have LeeAnn.
Hi.
And we're so glad to have LeeAnn with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I just thought about something after we went back on the air that I failed to ask her as we were preparing. And that's about Kim Johnson.
Kim Johnson. Mm-hmm.
And Kim was planning to do something for Nye Communities Coalition. Now, but he mentioned your name as the person really putting it all together.
Okay.
You didn't know about that?
No.
Okay. So that's something she and I are going to talk about after this session and maybe after the next session. Because later on one of the future shows, she's going to be on to give the entire hour of everything that they do in the Nye Communities Coalition. Some of it will be covered today, but there's so much more that they do that our community just doesn't know about. And so we're going to give some highlights today. We'll give some overviews, and hopefully we'll be able to cover it. But when she comes back in the future, we'll give you so much information, and you'll see that so much is going on in our community. That's what it's all about. This is LeeAnn Luna from Nye Communities Coalition, and we're going to talk about what first? Community outreach.
Yep, the Community Outreach Committee. We have meetings every second Wednesday.
Second Wednesday?
At 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock?
Well, 11:30 is when it starts, but 11 o'clock is when we provide lunch.
So 11 o'clock, if you want lunch, well, you're going to get lunch whether you come at 11 or not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But if you want to come in early and just get acquainted with everybody, come in at 11 o'clock. It's 11 to 1 that way. Or the meeting is really starting at 11:30 and it stops promptly at 1. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a fantastic meeting. And what are they going to learn at this meeting?
Well, it's built by advocates in the community that are building different programs so that they reach...
What types of programs?
Any different need that they see, they want to build a program for. So the Nye Community Coalition brought these people together and said, we're going to have committees that address certain issues in the community. So we have several different committees, and then we also have a bunch of people who come who are concerned with getting people information, disseminating information about their programs or about what services might be available to them. So we have 2 or 3 different things going on in the outreach committee meeting.
Okay.
It's a very important meeting. We do a lot of, we make a lot of progress. Each committee that's in there reports on their different progress that they're making. So.
Well, let me go back a little and ask you a question that hopefully you can answer, but if you can't, don't worry about it. When did this start?
I am not privy to how long. I think they've been talking about, it's been going probably about 6 or 7 years.
It started in August of 08.
08. So see, I was right.
And the reason I know that is because I arrived here from Germany in August of 08 and heard about people getting together for a community need, and I attended the meeting. It was, just off. I didn't know what to expect. New to Pahrump, had just come in from Germany after 10 years being there, and I'm looking at this community working hard, but everybody seemed to have their own way of doing things. It was so disorganized, and I could see that. And now I see you have it so organized that you have committees.
We have committees. We have a lot of community cooperation. And even if they're not on the committee, they come in with different resources, and we are able to connect them to other people in the meeting that may be able to make their resources bigger for the community.
Working together.
And then disseminating the information out to the community. If the community doesn't know it's there, how are they supposed to know what's available to them? So we have a lot of different ways in order to help, and because we have a high population of poverty here. We have a high population of homebound here.
Okay.
Transportation, which is a huge part of the outreach committee, is coming in now with transportation, but probably may not have happened without the collaborative effort of the Oasis,
Absolutely.
the community outreach committee. So,
You know, you did not, you mentioned the time and you mentioned the day, which is the second Wednesday of every month from 11, actually 11:30, but get there at 11 because they have lunch every meeting.
yes.
Delicious lunch provided by different agencies. This is great. But where do they meet?
They meet at the Oasis Outreach Church on 2nd Street,
Okay.
which is right behind Integrity Taxi.
Behind Integrity and across from the Moose Lodge?
Yes,
Right across the street. Okay. And that's where we meet. And how about some of the committees that you mentioned? What are they?
Transportation is the biggest one. They've made most progress.
Okay,
It's
and
absolutely
that's why we had
fantastic.
them on the first two sessions.
Yes.
Because they're doing so much in our community. Okay.
It's very dynamic, and they meet monthly on Thursdays, and they've just been able to do so much because there were so many barriers to transportation, and they've hopped every barrier. It might have taken a few years, but they've done a lot of work, and it's amazing what they've been able to accomplish.
Okay.
The Community Crisis Intervention Committee, it is headed by Ginger Strumney of ARMS, and she's got so many different resources for the community, and she's helped so many people with what she's done.
What do they do?
The Community Crisis Intervention Committee is comprised of several different organizations.
Okay.
And as we go through our daily lives, if we find somebody who's in crisis, we then have pooled our resources so that when we find out the crisis that they need, and then we find out the other needs they may have, we immediately do referrals to the different organizations.
Can you give me an example of what would be a crisis?
A crisis would be somebody who is willing and able to work, has no income, but has no transportation to get to the work. She's a house cleaner.
That would be crisis.
So,
Okay.
so she's also transitioning housing at the point
Okay.
that we got her. So she's transitioning housing, and she has no way to get to work, but she is able to work. So we found clients for her. We found transportation for her to get to her work, and now she's able to handle life. You know, she was in a crisis, and now she's stable.
Excellent example. Okay.
So we handle 2 or 3. We bring to the table 2 or 3 clients every month when we meet, and that is the second Wednesday. We meet 1 hour earlier than the outreach committee.
Okay.
And we bring 2 or 3 different cases. We case manage them. We refer them out, and then we report back on their progress the following month.
Well, let me ask, what does this cost the people that use the service?
No to Abuse is part of this crisis intervention committee, and they have done a lot of fundraising. You'll see them out in front of Smith's selling candy or asking for donations, and they have done a lot to bring fundraising. We don't have any physical, it doesn't cost the person in crisis anything.
Okay.
But we don't have any regular income coming. So it really depends on what fundraising activities we do. So if you see us doing a pancake breakfast, for example, come out and have pancakes with us, because we do need as much fundraising activity as possible. If you see them out in front of Smith's, you know, take a piece of candy.
No to Abuse.
No to Abuse has been
Okay.
our most
Helps our
active
community.
fundraising activity for that committee.
That is fantastic. Okay.
Holiday Task Force, they provide the Christmas dinner, the Thanksgiving dinner, and then
Is that the one for the entire community?
it comes for the entire community. So Holiday Task Force is headed by Linda Wright, and she does an amazing job of getting all the volunteers together,
Okay.
of getting all the material together in order to be out in the park or at the NAC Center, all the food, all the entertainment.
Oh,
It's a
gee.
huge, huge thing that she does.
Linda Wright has been on this program before, and we'll definitely have her on again
Absolutely.
in the future. She does so much in our
Yeah.
community. Go ahead.
So she's going to be on hiatus now for the next few months. She starts back in September.
Okay.
If anybody in the community is interested in providing support to these activities that she does, the holidays that she does activities for, then you can either become a part of that committee, and they meet on Mondays at 8:30, and we'll make an announcement as to when the next holiday task force meeting is, because they don't meet over the summertime because it's just superfluous. We don't have anything that they do in the summertime. But if you want to join that committee in September, they'd love to have you, because anything
now
that
what
helps.
about the community outreach? Do they still meet during the summer?
Community outreach meets every month.
Every month.
There's no hiatus there. So transportation meets every month.
If somebody is interested in coming, is it open to the community?
It's open to anybody in the community who wants to be able to see progress happen.
So you've heard it already. If you'd like to be a part of the progress in our community, come out and see what community outreach is all about, and see if it's something that you'd like to be a part of. Get a free lunch, listen to all the people. And LeeAnn, about how many people are normally there each meeting?
It can vary. The highest meeting, I think we've had over 30 people.
Okay. So you're gonna see around 30 people that are willing to do something for our community, willing to donate, willing to contribute, and make our community better for those that are less fortunate, and providing so much information. Mm-hmm. And LeeAnn is really the person. She's kind of modest, I can tell, but she's the one that puts it all together. She keeps the minutes, she takes the attendance, she does all of this for us. And that's one of the reasons I asked her if she would just come on the program, tell us what community outreach is doing, and you've covered it.
Well, food security.
And what else?
Food security is the last one.
Okay, go ahead with food security.
There are several food pantries that get together, and they share resources and ideas. Food security is making classes for Build My Plate, so that we can have people making more nutritious meals within the home.
Okay.
There's classes, No to Abuse has classes on basic life skills, and when you attend those classes, you go home with a box of food. There's several different food distribution programs that come through the food security meeting. So if you're interested in fighting hunger, they meet the second Tuesday of every month at 8:30.
I'm going to have you come back in our next session and finish up on this.
Okay.
Because this is so important, and I think our listeners really need to hear more about what's going on in food security, and the fact that we have so many pantries where people can get food if they need it. So even though we're going to end this session, I want you to remember to come back, listen to LeeAnn as she tells you more and more about what's going on with community outreach and so many other things in our community. Thank you.